Sounds like something from Rocky Horror Picture Show. This harmonized guitar line and then the Torch song solo. Oh my goodness. Call Queen. Hey folks. Watching what is probably AC/DC's last tour ever unfold made me think it would be fun to go back and look at some of the really early stuff. Highway to Hell, Clinton Walker. So it's mostly about Bon Scott, which I learned a ton of stuff about Bon Scott that I did not know. But it also talks about the Young family, Malcolm and Angus, before AC/DC and very early AC/DC before Bon Scott. And it talks about the Australian music scene post-World War II, which is fascinating. Malcolm gets credit for being the band founder and the driving force behind the band. 1972, he was in a band called the Velvet Underground. The real Velvet Underground was an American psychedelic pop band. I don't know exactly what you'd call it, but that was not the band that Malcolm was in. Velvet Underground, She Comes in Colors.
A thought in my head, I think, of something to do.
Is this really? This can't be. So they say the B-side is Somebody to Love, which is a Jefferson Airplane song. Are we going to hear Malcolm Young playing Jefferson Airplane?
Within you, don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love?
Really? I'm a little bit stumped, actually. Age 117, in 1971, when he was working as a sewing machine maintenance man for Burley, who make the bras. I guess that's an Australian bra company. Malcolm met a band presumptuously called the Velvet Underground, who had just moved to nearby Regent's Park. Okay, so they were formed before him. They were looking for a guitarist, and Malcolm got the gig. With a repertoire based around material by the Doors and Jefferson Airplane, okay, they became the top dogs on the local dance circuit. Finding the guitarist they sought in Malcolm, they knew he was the brother of George Young. George Young had a hit song. I think that's George right there. It's hard to tell because it's so grainy. 1971. So it sounds like this was pre-Malcolm Young if it's 1970, so that would not be him. The next thing that's in the book that he does is the Marcus Hook Roll Band. So that's his brother George and Harry Vonda, who I think... You guys will tell me if I'm wrong. Everybody will tell me if I'm wrong because that's what you do. I think he was one of the producers on AC/DC's first few albums, George Young and Harry Vonda. I would have to check. I'm not going to check because it doesn't really matter. We'll get there. But he and Angus played guitar on that, and that band released an album in 1974, which was after Malcolm had already gone on to form AC/DC. So this was in 1973, and it was a studio band. It wasn't a quote-unquote real band. So George and Harry wrote a bunch of songs, and Malcolm and Angus come in and play, and apparently it used to be a rarity, but now with the miracle of the internet, anybody can listen to it. So let's find that. Marcus Hook Roll Band, that's what you want. Harry Vaughn and George Young both were in the Easy Beats. Blah 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 blah. One album, Tales of Old Granddaddy, 1974, is noted for featuring Malcolm and Angus Young prior to forming AC/DC. Let's have a listen. Silver Shoes.
I'm just down from New Orleans.
Sounds like Joe Cocker, doesn't it?
I've blew my mind.
How do I go forward on this?
Silver shoes and strawberry wine.
So I'm guessing that's Angus right there. Sounds like the Eagles. Oh, that reminds me of something. Boy, on the tip of my tongue. That chord progression and the way that solo sounds.
It seems so impossible. It's all so
Let's see what else we got. There's two rhythm guitars going here in the slide, and I'm not sure if we've got Malcolm in the left and Angus in the right. like on a lot of those albums, AC/DC albums.
Fastest girl you'll ever see. Only knew me about an hour before she
What a
did her thing
mishmash.
on me. Then she did my brother. Then she did my father.
So they had kind of raised themselves on the Rolling Stones. You can totally hear it in these songs. Page 119 of the Highway to Hell book. Velvet Underground were writing a few songs of their own, but their set was still mainly covers. The Stones, Can You Hear Me Knockin', Brown Sugar, T-Rex songs. Of course, Angus wasn't in that band, but you get the idea. He's obviously a Rolling Stones fan too. Grew up a Rolling Stones fan.
Then she did my sister. Then she asked for more.
Wait for a chorus.
What you do it now? What you do it now? What you do it now? What you do it now?
You know, pretty unremarkable, but interesting. That sounds like Malcolm Young all day long, doesn't it?
I don't have nothing but the clothes on my back. Hey, hey, hey. I do my sweeping in an old brown sack. Hey, hey, hey. I've had enough to get shot in the head. I've had enough and I wish I was dead. I've had enough to get shot in the head. I've had enough to get shot in the head.
This one. Here, play Name That Riff. That's all you get, but you get it again in the chorus.
Told me, boy, don't you run after money.
That's Honky Tonk Woman, more or less.
Just stay away from Frisco Bay. I believe in what my daddy told me. But I'm
Just one
gonna
guitar right there,
let him down.
right in the middle.
As soon as I get out of town.
All I want is a quick reaction. Whole world is falling down. Little release to get a little peace in my mind.
Get it? That's TNT, except TNT is your E hitting the G and bouncing up to the A. This is the same pattern, except it's higher, so it's the A to C to the D. Same thing. And it does something a little bit at the end, but I mean, when I heard that, this is not the first time I've listened to these songs. I listened to this album back when I read the book, but that's the one that jumped out at me. It's like, oh yeah, you know, it's Malcolm was the main songwriter, and you know, I bet they had a chord progression for this, but that's a Malcolm Young right there all day long. Let's hear a little bit more quick reaction. You got hand claps going. You never got the hand claps with the AC/DC. Here he goes. So that's what, 17 or 18-year-old Angus Young right there? What else? Oh! Back on my phone. This does not sound like an AC/DC song.
Baby, I'm amazed and that's a fact. Oh, if you can't stand the heat, get out of my kitchen if you can't stand.
Yeah, pass. Oh, that reminds me of something. What does that remind me of?
Businessmen and politicians, union bosses, statisticians. What do they do for you?
got the AC/DC bass line.
What does it all mean?
Pull that root note.
Man and dragon guys and bowlers, even good old rock and rollers, they wanna change my thinking. Repercussions, more discussion, think I'll go and call the Russians before they call me.
That's glammy, glammy, glammy. I'm gonna forget a solo here. See if they turn Angus loose. Break it down. Such luck. Let's keep looking. Our search is not over. This is not a good start.
Now back in the beginning, when the ape became a man, round about the time when no one thought of owning land. Living wasn't easy.
It's anthropological. It's prehistorical. It's right up my alley.
Make his life the way he thought his life should be. Now the people don't have the power to change things anymore.
But that is a terrible bass tone.
Now some men got together, came a meeting, came a plan to try to find a leader who could help his fellow man.
All right, what else?
King. Now the people don't have the power to change things anymore. So much the people could wait too late. The churches and big businesses now rule the people's fate. Now the people don't have the power to change things anymore.
All right. I quit that one. See what Goodbye Jane has to offer.
The same as I remember.
I grabbed my banjo back there. That is a banjo. I wonder who's playing the banjo.
The way I see. But if you wanna make it home before the night, you know I'll have to carry you, but that's alright. We've only gotta make the band, and home we'll be.
Alright, you get the idea. They start to sound kind of repetitive after a while. You should listen on your own. This has not gotten very many. Yeah. Ballad. I wonder if they let Angus solo on this. I'm going to look. It builds up a little bit. Oh. Sounds like something from Rocky Horror Picture Show. This harmonized guitar line and then the Torch song solo. Oh my goodness. Call Queen. Seriously. Brian May would have played the shit out of this song. There's Angus's blues roots, though, for sure. Your roots are showing.
Never been a time I felt this way before.
So that's like a wah-wah pedal. Have we ever heard Malcolm or Angus use a wah-wah pedal? I don't think so. Wow. Okay, you get the idea. Not, I will not be a person who goes back and listens to this album just for pleasure, but historically, I think it's pretty interesting. And it also has to do with what Malcolm goes on to do. So I want to read this section from the book, page 121. It says, Malcolm wasn't impressed by the fact that the recording process was so piecemeal, so separated, with everything overdubbed and multi-tracked. That wasn't the way real rock and roll operated. In his view, real rock and roll was played by a band, together as a band. All this technology was obscuring the point of the exercise. Disillusioned, Malcolm went home and threw his Deep Purple albums into the bin. They were phonies. Not like Chuck Berry or the Rolling Stones, who were the real thing, who could do it for real without hiding behind studio trickery. The band Malcolm was getting together would be a rock and roll band. It was going to be glam, to be sure. Stay tuned. Because sequins and makeup were de rigueur at the time, but it would still be rock and roll. The idea would prove visionary. And of course, the band he goes on to form is AC/DC. And AC/DC was already writing, and playing out by the time this album came out in 1974. And so that is where we will pick up the story the next time. Anyway, have a listen to these songs if you're into this. Bye-bye.